Well, we're at it again, guys. One more episode in the collection of a bunch of episodes of this podcast. Thanks for tuning in. Another hot ep coming at you. The weekly daily podcast with me, Ben Dailey. Excited to be here as usual. It's been a productive, busy week, and we've got a nice overcast day today. I know you guys like to hear about the weather and what it's like here in Colorado. It's been very summer weather, very hot. There's been some rain recently, some storms coming through, which I like. I like that. It reminds me of my upbringing in Virginia, the summer storms. So we're doing good, We got a lot to talk about, and let's just dive in. First off, I would like to mention, if you're watching the video, let me do a little check here. Actually, I think we're okay. I was gonna say, if you're watching the video and I start to randomly bleed, or if you see blood coming from my neck, I just cut myself shaving. So, just wanted to give you a heads up. I'm okay. No big deal. I wasn't even using a razor. I was using a clipper set to trim, and I was trying to trim my neck beard, my very thick and full and not embarrassing neck beard that many people know and love about me. Just a real thick facial hair person, individual here. No, if you are listening to this and you've never seen me, then bless your heart for stumbling upon this podcast. Most of you probably know what I look like, and I do not have a thick beard. I can't even use the word beard. There should be an English word for somebody who can't grow a beard but still grows some facial hair. What would that be called? My asparagus patch. That would be a more accurate representation. Have you guys? You're probably not. This is very, very specific particular reference that many people probably want to know. If you've ever seen asparagus and how they grow one by one, which sounds obvious, but I remember seeing it for the first time and being kind of blown away. But each asparagus grows by itself. It's not in like a bunch or bundle, or like Brussels sprouts or certain plants where like you have one main plant and then it has like a bunch of little buds that become the vegetables. No, asparagus is one each. It's just like one weed that grows out of the ground, and then like a foot away, one asparagus and one asparagus. And that's how my facial hair grows. Just there's, each individual hair's there, and a lot of space in between. Not very good thickness. But anyways, I digress. I was trimming my neck hair, and I really was trying to get it short, and I clipped my neck. And let me tell you what, as I clipped my neck, the feeling that I had based on the nerves in my neck and chin area muscles, whatever this section is right here, I was for certain that I was going to start spewing and spurting. That's not a word. Spewing blood. I thought I really dug into my neck, and I was like, oh, darn it. There goes the podcast for this week. I can't do a podcast while I'm actively bleeding from my neck. Turns out it was just a little itty-bitty amount. All is well. I'm a tough individual, and when I get paper cut level injuries similar to paper cuts, I battle through, because that's who I am. I'm a warrior, and warriors don't let paper cuts affect them. I wonder what back in the days of actual warriors, when people like in battle or war, or you didn't even have to be in battle, but just like thousands of years ago, what the equivalent of a paper cut would have been. Because obviously back then, I doubt paper cut paper cut probably wasn't a term until like mass paper production over the last 100 years or so. I don't know. There's probably some scrolls, or what do you call people? Whoever the people who could write and read back thousands of years ago that had used the scrolls to write on. They probably maybe cut themselves once in a blue moon, and that was probably like didn't have a word for it. But I wonder what the equivalent was for your average like injury. Like a paper cut's basically equivalent to just like a stupid, you're like, stupid. A little dumb thing that happened where I cut myself and it hurts a little bit. It's not life-threatening. I wonder what that was thousands of years ago. There's probably like, there's probably something to do with like a feather quill. Like writing with feather and ink. If you accidentally punctured yourself, you're like, I feathered myself. All right. Well, look, guys, I'm trying to ramble. I'm trying to be funny, and you know what? I don't know what funny is sometimes. Let me go down this path. I'll think of a good analogy, a good example that's equivalent to a paper cut, and then you're like, I'm talking about feathers and quills, and I'm not sure if quill is the feather. I'm pretty sure it is, but as I say it out loud, I'm like, I don't even know if that's the correct word. And when you start trying to be funny and you're not being funny, and then you start saying words that you're not even sure the correct word, you're like, I might be coming across as the most idiotic individual anybody's ever heard. But you know what, guys? What's new? Okay? I'm dumb. Sorry. Sue me. But yeah, I did cut my neck. And I think the blood is no moss. But here we are. I'm battling through injury to do this podcast, okay? That's what they say. They say rain or shine when it's outdoor events. I say bleeding or not bleeding. Okay, that's my promise to you guys. I do this podcast whether I'm bleeding or not bleeding. Okay? If the blood is flowing on my inside or my outside, I will speak into this microphone for all 7 listeners because I'm devoted. I'm devoted to getting dozens and dozens of total viewers and listeners. But yeah, it has been an eventful week, and I am excited to be here to tell you guys about it. I'm going to start off with the most exciting thing of the week, I would say, which was last Wednesday. Went on a date night with Dailey. Went to Casa Bonita. First time there. Was interested. You know, you hear about it. You've heard about it. Everybody's heard about it. Probably. If you're in Colorado, you've heard about it. If you're not in Colorado, I'll give you guys kind of a preview of what I had heard about it before I went there. So Casa Bonita, it's like a big. This is kind of what I had heard about it. It's a big like Mexican restaurant experience. All that I knew about it was like, okay, there's a waterfall and divers, and you eat food, and it's like this big pink restaurant that's referenced in South Park apparently a lot. And I know a comic in the Denver scene that dresses up as a gorilla and goes around and interacts with customers. That's all I knew about the place. Didn't really know anything. I think I'm pretty sure the creators of South Park, can't remember their name, but I'm pretty sure they bought the restaurant a couple years ago and like renovated it and reopened it. And basically, I think it used to be just like you can just go at any point. You didn't really have to have a reservation. And then when it was renovated and reopened over the last couple of years, they have it's like invite only. It's like a wait list. So you give your email or whatever, and then they let you know when or if you're allowed to come stop by. So Dailey had done that. She had, I guess, given her email. She was on the wait list. I think after like a year, she finally got the thumbs up. They give like a range of dates, and we ultimately went. We were going to go with my brother and sister-in-law. Didn't happen, unfortunately. Would have been fun, but it was very like it's like pretty waitlisty in the sense that there's a bunch of reservations, and Delina and I went, so getting a table for 2 was a lot more flexible, but getting a table for 4 or more was like very difficult. We just couldn't figure out. There just weren't really dates available that worked for everybody's schedule, so that's okay. It was very fun to go. Excuse me, burping into the microphone. It was very fun to go with to Delina and get to experience the whole experience. Now, Delina had gone, I think has gone many times in the past, growing up in this area, but it was my first time, and let me tell you what. I don't even know that I would say lived up to the hype because I didn't have hype in my head, really. I didn't know what to expect. Expectations were low because I didn't have expectations, I guess. But expectations, if they were set, they were exceeded. It was a very cool experience, and I'll take you guys through what it was. Basically, it's Casa Bonita, again, big Mexican restaurant experience. That's all I knew about it. It's in Lakewood, Colorado, which is like a suburb of Denver. It's like 25, 30 minutes from my apartment. And so we get there, and it's in like this big shopping mall area. I mean, parking lot is jam full. We go up there. There's a bunch of people out around. There's like, so the outside, it's this big pink building. And at the entrance, there's this like big 30-foot high cathedral-looking piece. I don't know what you would call it exactly. It's like just this architecture that makes it look like a beautiful house. Casa Bonita. I know Spanish. And they had they basically check you in from the outside. Then they had a bunch of security that takes you through metal detectors and stuff like that before you go in, which I've talked about this probably before, but people, whether it's restaurants, schools, movie theaters, wherever, I appreciate a metal detector. Not a lot of places do it, which is crazy to me because of just where we're at in society right now with just like a bunch of dummies out there trying to do dummy stuff. But I appreciate it. It's like, why not have some metal detectors so I can walk in and be like, yeah, no, there's no other wackos here. Which at the movies, I talked about it leaving the movie theater before because I just felt weird in my stomach. But they don't do that at movie theaters, and I wish they would. Just, have a metal detector, all right? I don't like people bringing, whether it's a weapon or whether it's like a big old metal coin. I don't like people, holding on to metal stuff. That's weird. Cut it out. But we go in, we get checked in, and then just to even the whole initial experience is very interesting. We're walking through, and it's like the architecture is very like, I guess, traditional Mexican culture. And we're kind of like, we go in and we're directed to like walk around, and we kind of go through these little areas, and then it's kind of this whole walkway line thing where you're in and out of a couple rooms and kind of just like, okay, where are we at? This is interesting to look at all this kind of, again, traditional Mexican architecture, but like you're walking through a couple rooms, and then you finally get to no. Okay, so we walk through a couple rooms, and then we get to this like initial room, which is where we get our dinner ticket. Okay, and basically the experience, it was like $50 a person, and like that includes your food and then, the quote-unquote experience. So this first room we get to, it's literally like when you buy a ticket at an amusement park. It's like or at a baseball game or whatever. Like you have a wall and people behind the wall with the little window seals, and you go up and you're like, I would like, 2 dinners, please, or whatever. And you get like they check your ID if you want to get alcohol, this and that. But basically that's your check-in. And they print out a receipt for you. They give it to you, and then they send you on your way. And then you walk through a couple more rooms, and then you get into, I don't know if it's a couple more rooms, but you're kind of walking through. It's kind of like a maze. You're going in and you're like, where are we going? And then you go into a cafeteria-style food line where you have your little ticket. You go up, you hand your ticket over, And it's like, any sort of cafeteria style, Chipotle, whatever, where you see them scooping the food for you. You walk down that line, they give you your food, and then you have someone direct you to your place. So from there, we grab our food, and they walk us to our table. Now, let me tell you what. This place is huge, okay? When you think restaurant, that's not the correct word for this place. I mean, it's like restaurant combined with mini theme park almost. It's a very interesting concept, which was very neat. But you walk in and there's like tons of seating all around. I mean, if I had to guess, I don't know, but hundreds of seats. So there's multiple levels and seats are all around you, and we're being taken to our seats. And like the main visual or kind of main attraction in the middle of all this restaurant stuff is the waterfall and diving area. So there's a large waterfall area where divers will come every 20 minutes and do a little routine and dive into the water, and that's like part of the spectacle. So that's kind of the main center focal point of the restaurant, and we're taken up to, our seats. It's just kind of like on this upper level, and we sit down with our food and, start eating. There's a server who comes up and is like, hey, if you want any drinks or this or that, you get a little flag at the table, and you put the flag up, and that indicates that you want something. So we start eating, and this is another thing I heard about Casa Bonita that lived up to the hype. That I guess this is the little hype that I knew. I heard that the food is very bad, and I'm here to tell you guys, yeah, very bad, not good. And look, that's coming from somebody who, I'm not a picky eater at all, but the food was pretty bad. Now, let me also say this, that the food is a very small part of it. The experience as a whole is more important, I would say. So it didn't take away from like the experience, but I think they could put a little more effort into the food because it was not great. Anyways, we eat our food. We're hanging out. We're kind of in this weird like upper area that has like, it's almost like a hallway that we're sitting in that has walls that are kind of blocked off. Fortunately, where I sat, there was like a little windowsill that was, it had a bunch of little wooden pillars that kind of blocked the view, but I could see out to the diving area where the people were diving. And so I could see a little bit, but basically the whole thing is like, you want to eat real quick and then get to the other attractions. So I'm like looking around, we're eating, we're chatting it up, and there weren't many people. Like I said, it was like a little mini hallway that had like a couple tables. It was like a hallway off of a hallway. It's hard to explain, but it was an interesting spot that we were sitting. Most of the other areas were like very much out in the open, so you could see all around you. We were kind of in a little dead end space. But at a certain point at the end of our meal, this lady that was dressed up. Now part of this whole experience, I guess there's people that are dressed up. Like I said, the comedian friend that is in the scene here in Denver, he apparently is a gorilla that walks around. I didn't see a gorilla, or I didn't see him that night, but there's people that are dressed up doing certain things. So this person who's dressed up, obviously an employee there, she walks past us, and there's a couple windows at the very end of the dead end, right behind us. And those overlook kind of the entire space. So she went back, walked past us, and she's like staring out at stuff. And it was just odd. It was like, what is she doing? Like, I was talking to Dailey. I was like, we were going back and forth, like, what is she doing? What's going on? Why is she? It was just kind of an awkward, weird thing. And the reason she was doing it, which we realized 30 seconds later, was she came over and she goes, I saw you guys were looking at me. You might have some questions. That was the whole, like, her character was, the whole thing was to act weird around a table, have the table be like, what is this person doing? And then that was the icebreaker for her to be like, in character be like, I heard you talking about me. But she was like, apparently she was dressed up like a British naval officer, but she said she was a pirate, her character. So I don't know. It was interesting too because Delaney and I had gone to, did we go to, I think we went to an Orange Theory class right before. And I think we were both just kind of tired. Like we were enjoying the time and stuff, but like talking to strangers was a little bit unexpected, I guess. So she comes over and she's doing like a British character. She's like, I'm a pirate. That was a terrible British accent. I don't think her British accent was very good either. But she's going on about whatever, and it's one of those things where you're like fake laughing. You're like, oh, haha, yeah, that's okay. All right, well, all right. Thanks for the jokes. See you later. Get out of here. But, we didn't say that. So you're kind of just like humoring this person who's trying to humor you. You're like, okay. And then she, part of the whole character thing is she's like, hypothetically, I think she said she had like a crush on another character there. She's like, there's this guy that it's all part of the character. She's not giving away personal secrets. It's just part of the character. And she's like, there's this guy that I think is cute. And hypothetically, if I were to go up to him, what could I say? What should I say? Do you guys have any good things to say? And I was like, yeah. If you want to break the ice, just go up to him and say, do you like chicken? And of course, everybody likes chicken. And when he says yes, you just stick your arm out and go, grab a wing. And she said, oh, that's, maybe I'll try that. And then she left. And I was like, thank goodness. Thank goodness I didn't know. It's funny because after she left, I was talking to Delina about it. I was like, we're both comedians. Delina and I are both comedians. And nobody would have ever guessed. We're like, she came up and we're like, oh, just like these bozos. They're like, oh my gosh, this person's trying to do improv with us and we don't know how to deal with it. We were just both tired. But that worked. Got her out of there. It was kind of an interesting encounter. From there, we finished dinner. Then we went, you're basically free to roam the facility. And there's a bunch of different stuff that's neat in there to take a look at. So we took a look at the diving section at first. They do dives every 20 minutes, which was neat. They have a couple people come out. They do like this little dance routine, and then they each do 2 dives. It's 2 people. They each do 2 dives. It's kind of funny because it's literally like a 90-second thing, and then it's over. And it's like, okay, that was pretty short. That must be a pretty cool job, right? You get paid $25 an hour to work for about 180 seconds. No, times 3. 90 times 3, 270 seconds, whatever that is. But it was pretty short, but it's pretty cool. Yeah, so you get that whole waterfall area section, and then they have like this scary cave that you can walk through. They have a what do you call it? A mining shaft that you can walk through. Now, also, part of this is like a bunch of these little walk-through kind of attraction architecture type things that are cool to walk through also have tables in there. So some people are like, a lot of people are sitting in an area where you can see the waterfall. People are sitting through other sections that are kind of carved out for people to walk through. They had a gift shop, so you can spend more money. A bunch of bars throughout so you can just order drinks at your leisure after you've gotten up from your table. They had a puppet show. They had a theater, which we didn't get to do, which was kind of the main thing that we didn't get to do. It would have been cool, but they do theater shows. I don't know what is in the theater. If you guys have been to Casa Bonita and went to the theater show, let me know in the comments. I'm genuinely not sure what was in there, but they do that like every hour, so it seems like it must be like a 30-plus minute show or something. They had an arcade area. They had, a bunch of stuff like photo booths. They had someone doing, like fortune telling. They had a little caricature somebody, drawing the caricature faces or whatever you call it, that they have at amusement parks and stuff like that. They had a balloon person who would make balloon animals for you. It was very cool. It was it was a totally unique experience. Something I'd never, it was kind of like the restaurant version of Buc-ee's. Just like Buc-ee's being the gas station that's also like a massive store and has just very unique. Something that you don't think about. I've never seen. It was very cool. So we hung out, walked around there for a while, and sorry, I feel like not to repeat from a couple weeks ago, but I feel like I got boogers. I don't want boogers on camera, guys. I don't want to get canceled for having a booger nose. Is that good for podcasting sound? Just sniffling into the microphone. But anyways, we do the whole walkthrough. We leave, and at the very end, there's like a history section where you can walk through, and it talks about like it's just all the information about the formation and the owner and the thought process behind Casa Bonita. And what I didn't know is that it wasn't just I thought it was just a Colorado thing. There were apparently like 4 or 5 other restaurants that were in like Texas and maybe one in Ohio and I don't know, a couple different places where they also did it. And the owner, it started back in like the late 60s or early 70s. And this guy just had a vision of a place that showcased Mexican food and Mexican culture, which I don't know if diving is like a bit, the divers on the waterfall, if that's a big Mexican cultural thing. But either way, a lot of it is Mexican. I mean, the architecture, the food, obviously, and then other stuff is connected. So it was a very cool experience, and also cool to see the history behind it. And there's a bunch of, like I said, maybe close to half a dozen of these around the country, and a lot of them were formed in the 70s and made it all the way. A lot of them closed. I think all of them are closed except for the Colorado branch. A lot of them closed within the last 10 to 15 years. So they made it like 40-ish years for a long time. But it's a massive establishment. I mean, it's like a miniature theme park to where there's probably, 100 plus employees to operate. Like, it's a huge thing. So you have to have tons of business to keep it going. But it was cool to see the different locations that they did and the thought behind it. They also showed that they renovated the Colorado one in 2021. So I think it was bought by the South Park guys, and they renovated it. And they had a bunch of items that were like behind the glass. It was like a glass thing and then shelving and had like historical text or whatever, just like a museum type setup. And they had a bunch of stuff that they had found during the renovation that was pretty neat. They had soda cans from like the 70s. So you saw like it was just soda cans that were like, thrown behind the drywall or whatever, like as they were unearthing these things as they were renovating. So they had that stuff. They had a bunch of random other stuff. And then they had an iPhone from like 2012. And they're like, it was a tiny iPhone. And they're like, we found this. If you lost your phone when you came here 12 years ago, call this number. So that was kind of cool. So we saw that. That was fun. Went home. Stomach hurt. Like I said, food wasn't great. But, anytime I have Mexican food, my stomach hurts. So that's more of a me thing. But that was very fun. That was a fun experience. If you're ever in Colorado, would 100% recommend doing it. Again, there's a wait list, so you can't just like come here and go immediately. But if you plan it out, or I don't know, find a friend, find somebody who's got some dates on the calendar where they can maybe have you join. But it was very fun. Enjoyed that quite a bit. Also, another new thing I did this week. It wasn't really a new thing. I guess it was new. 2 nights ago, Dailey and I watched Alien Covenant. Watched the Alien movie. I don't know if you guys have ever seen the Alien movies. I have not. I've seen Prometheus, but that is it. And I feel kind of stupid because it's very much the type of movie that I enjoy. I'm not a huge, I don't know. I'm like split with science fiction. If it's done really well, I really like it. And if it's done poorly, then I might hate it. But that's, that probably goes for anybody. But I really, the alien concept or the alien science fiction story or just aliens in general, it fascinate me. Something I'm interested about. Read a lot of books that relate to stuff like that. Enjoy, Interstellar. Um, isn't so much about aliens, but anything that's, space travel, aliens, Avatar, love it. Big fan. But I felt dumb because I didn't know about it. I hadn't heard about it and just didn't connect the dots. It's like the movie title is Alien. How did you not get that? But I just thought it was something different. If you're not familiar with the series, basically, I think they had a movie come out in like 1979. Was the first one was Sigourney Weaver, which what kind of name is that? Is that an Irish name? Sigourney? Anyways. 79 it came out, Alien. And then they had a couple come out from 79 all the way up to I think 97 was the last one I think still with Sigourney Weaver. Then they had didn't make a movie for a while. Also, Ridley Scott, I think, directed at least one or a couple of those, which, if you're not familiar, director Ridley Scott, great director. Look him up. He's done a bunch of great stuff. But I've never seen any of those. The first movie that I saw was called Prometheus, which is part of this Alien series, which came out in 2012. And great movie. I'm not going to go into the whole thing about it, but basically it's about, the movie starts out. All right, I'll give you a little synopsis of it right after I said I wasn't going to, but I'll do it. The movie starts out, people on Earth, they find a cave that has this painting that kind of shows that aliens visited the planet a long time ago and kind of gave a map to where they came from. So the whole movie is based around this expedition going to this alien planet, and then they discover all these things, and it's horrifying. That's the basic summary of it, but really like that movie. It was a great movie, and it was part of like this Alien series. Like at the very end, I won't give it away if you haven't seen it, but even though it's a 12-year-old movie, but it ends on kind of a cliffhanger, like, ooh, what happens next? And that's just like the beginning of the next movie, which is the movie that I saw on Saturday night, Alien Covenant, and liked it. It was a good movie. And I say that to say the reason I wanted to watch this movie is because literally this week, the newest Alien movie came out, and I wanted to make sure I caught up to speed on it because I'll probably go see that with Delina maybe this week or at some point here soon. So, again, if you guys have seen that movie or those movies, let me know in the comments. Did you like them? Did you hate them? I'm pretty excited for this movie. So yeah, that was a lot of fun. I've been hitting a lot of mics this week and did a lot of shows. Also, this is a random thing, but I noticed in editing the audio last week, I feel like I'm screaming into the microphone. Let me know in the comments if the sound is too loud or if it doesn't sound great, and I'll look into improving that. I know some people, such as one Ethan Everhart, doesn't care about his podcast listeners, but I care about you guys, and I want you guys to have a pleasant listening experience. So if it does sound weird or messed up, let me know. I'll try to edit it in a better way. But went to a lot of mics this week. I've been working through some new stuff. I went for the first time last Monday. Went to 3 mics in a night. First time in a while. Not for the first time ever. First time in a long time. Especially since I haven't been going to that many mics in general, let alone 3 in a night. So I did 3 mics on Monday. What were they? Long Table, Black Shirt Brewing, and Rover. And then Tuesday, what did I do? Tuesday went to 1 mic, and then Thursday went to 2 mics. and then went to Casa Bonita on Wednesday, had shows on Friday and Saturday. So I went to 6 mics. Pretty good. Trying to get back in the rhythm of things, but I'm working through some new jokes. I'm excited about the, some of the jokes and ideas I have at the moment. Some working better than others, but it feels good to kind of go through that creative process to try to develop some stuff, try to get some new material. I've been working on, give you guys some behind the scenes of what I'm working on. I just started going to Orange Theory with Dailey. It's like a fitness workout classes, and trying to write some jokes about that. Don't have too much that's working well, but I basically, one joke that I have, that's the beginning of the joke, is working well. And that's good, but also a very common thing with joke writing, where you go, ooh, I got a nugget. I got one funny thing. And it could be hilarious, but it's like the start of a joke, and then you don't have really anything to follow it that's that good. So you just have like this one thing, and I'm not a one-liner comic, so it's like a funny thing that's the beginning of me starting a quote-unquote bit. And if you don't have more after that, it's like I can't really just do that and then go on to a new topic. So I'm trying to write around that joke and get some more punchlines in that bit, and then we'll see. Maybe have that form out into something worth saying at a show. But mostly last week, actually it came together pretty quickly, and it's kind of been hit or miss, but I've got a joke I've been writing about a roommate situation I had about a decade ago when I lived with an opera singer who was not, technically not my roommate. It was the girlfriend of my roommate, but she lived where I lived for quite a while, and she was an opera singer, and worse than that, she gave opera singing lessons to aspiring opera singers in the apartment. And it was a pretty painful experience, and that's what the whole joke is about, just like, pretty tough. Pretty tough. Most people don't like listening to opera singing. Try living and listening to that all the time. So I feel like I've got the beats to it. It's like a 3-minute bit, and I thought it's one of those that kind of just came together. I had written down like one line about a bad roommate, like just on the topic of like bad roommates I've had. And the one line I had was like, yeah, used to live with an opera singer. Yeah, you don't realize how peaceful an alarm clock is until you hear someone yodel at 6:30 in the morning. Not great, but kind of a setup. It's like half setup, half punchline. I mean, I have tags after that, like extensions to the joke, but that was like the little nugget that started it all. And then from there, when I was out at the mic on Tuesday, I was kind of bouncing some ideas off, jotting some stuff down before I went up, and then bouncing some ideas off with Ethan Everhart, and kind of formed out like kind of the entire bit, most of it that night. Now, I didn't have it memorized. I did a couple things on stage that seemed to work okay. And then the next day, I came up with an ending that was like, ooh, that'll be a good ending. And so I did it at a couple open mics. I did it at the show I did on Friday. I did it at the show I did on Saturday. And granted, I barely had it memorized, so I feel like I got it out fairly fluently, but I need to memorize it a little bit better to say it in a little freer, natural, more organic of a way. But I did get feedback that told me it's definitely not as good as the other jokes I'm doing, which is good. You sandwich a new joke together. You do some tried and true, and then new, and then follow that with tried and true. And I could tell it's like, okay, jokes are getting this reaction up here. And then I did that joke, and it's like, okay, I'm getting like light giggles throughout. They're not really fully on board. And that's good input. And so now I'm going through the process of, okay, let me edit some more. Let me change some stuff up. Let me tighten, add, subtract, multiply, whatever mathematics I need to do to the joke to make it work better. So that's what this week will be, trying to edit a little bit more on that. I've got a bunch of stuff I've been writing and kind of have little nuggets of ideas, and I'm trying to be better at focusing on one or two ideas and really figuring those out, developing those and seeing where they go versus having, 12 different ideas and kind of not really giving any one of those the attention that it needs. So trying to work on that opera singing joke this week. We'll see what comes of it, but I'm excited for that. It's the first kind of bit in a minute that I feel like I've got cooking a little bit. So yeah, excited for that. I've got, like I said, I tried that at the shows I did over the weekend. I did a bunch of mics during the week, and then I hosted a couple Don't Tell shows on Friday and Saturday. So those were fun. Those are always a good time. The show on Friday, it was on the rooftop of a hotel, same rooftop of the hotel that I did the week prior, which is historically I've done it, I don't know, maybe 6 or 8 times. It's been a very fun show. This was probably the tightest crowd that I've had there. So it was definitely had to work for it a little bit. I was up there. I felt fine. It's funny when you're hosting, especially you like feel the crowd. You feel it a lot more if the crowd is tight. In the sense that if you're not hosting and say you're going in the middle of the show or wherever you're going, you have the luxury of seeing at least the host go before you, or if you're later in the lineup, you see the host and a couple comics before you go up. So you have an idea of what that room is. And maybe the room is tight. And you go, okay, the room is tight. I'm about to go up to a tight room. I understand that. I know that. Now, when you're hosting, you don't have the luxury of seeing somebody before you. So you're finding out in the moment. And you're like, I don't know if it's me. I don't know if it's just the room itself. It's fine. I mean, we deal with it. This is something that's not new and something that doesn't really throw me off. But I say that to say it can be tougher to do a new joke when it's a tight room like that. And I'm glad that I stuck to it and did the new joke. And I'm glad that I memorized the words, because it can be easy to be like in a tight room and try to say something new and be like, okay, I don't remember what I'm trying to say. But they were pretty tight throughout. They still had a good time, but I think it was just one of those weird crowds that just, smiled, enjoyed the comedy by smiling rather than laughing too much. But that was Friday night. Saturday night did another Don't Tell at a wine bar that is almost always a very good room. It was a little tight as well, but they were also a good crowd. Like, I felt good about my host set. I did the new joke again, sandwiched it in between jokes. Definitely could tell, okay, that joke is not getting what the other jokes are getting, so I need to continue working on it. And then they were a little bit tight for a couple of the next comics. And then the headliner did very well. Elon Stribling, local comic, very funny, headlined, and he got him. He did great. He's one of the few local comics, to be honest, here in Denver that I have pretty much complete faith in that he'll be able to figure it out. Like, very good at comedy, very good at connecting with crowds. And like, if he's not able to connect, it's just like, well, that crowd is terrible. But he did very well. Closed strong. That show was fun. They enjoyed it. I'm trying to think. Yeah, nothing super eventful. Tried the new joke there. It was a little bit smaller crowd than usual. There's about 40 people there when there's usually 70 or 80. But that's fine. They were still a fun crowd. They had a good time after that. Went home and watched Alien. So it was a pretty fun night. Sunday, went to another Orange Theory class, and then had another volleyball game, which we're closing out the season here pretty soon. I think we have one regular season game left, so only 6 total, and then playoffs if we make the playoffs. But our record is 3-2. We lost on Sunday, so we're 3-2, and 2 of those wins came from forfeit. So, and you know what? The third win kind of also came from forfeit. I don't know if we've actually won a game against a full team yet. So that's a little disconcerting. But we played pretty close. This team was pretty good, and it's best out of 3 games. They won the first game. We won the second game. They won the third game. So it wasn't a total blowout. Felt pretty good about it, but we did not win that. We've got 1 game left. So hopefully we win next week, which I think we're playing. Actually, I don't think we're playing an incredible team. I think we should be playing a team that's fairly equally on our skill level based on their rank. I think we're ranked 5th out of the league, and they're 6th. So we'll see how it works out. Hopefully we can pull that one out and make it to the playoffs. It's like $100 and some to join the league. So for 6 games, you're like, come on, let's get as many games out of this as possible. So looking forward to that. I'll keep you guys updated if we make the playoffs. Other than that, though, I'm going to go ahead and end it there. It's been fun rambling this week. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And I'll keep you guys updated. I've got some fun stuff coming up. I'm going to be doing some more Don't Tells. I've got, what else do I have? I'm going to be headlining Louisville Underground in Louisville on Friday, August 30th. Very excited for that. If you're in the area, come out, support that show. Check out that. I'll be doing a longer set there. And then, just a bunch of fun stuff from there. I'm going to be doing the Denver Comedy Lounge September 6th and 7th. I'm doing Comic Sense, doing the weekend there, I think 2 weeks from that point. So like middle of September, whatever weekend that is. And just a bunch of stuff coming up. Staying busy. Would love to see you out at the show. If you want to come say hello, come check out some of the new jokes, come do that. But other than that, thanks for tuning in. If you made it to the end, appreciate you guys. And I'll end it there. I'll see you guys again next week.